Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on Hypixel Skyblock, and this is one of my most expensive and most exciting videos ever. So before the video starts, I'd like to remind you guys to consider subscribing, as over 90% of my viewers are actually not subscribed, and on with the video. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be going over the damage of the Midas staff, and then giving my overall opinion on the 100 mil Midas staff. Then I'm going to be going over the Yeti sword, doing some damage testing, and giving my overall on if the Yeti sword is worth it or not. So, beginning the video is the Midas staff damage comparisons. Okay guys, so for this test, I'm going to be wearing my 3/4 Wise Dragon Armor, Shadow Goggles, my level 100 Legendary Sheep, and Demonic Talismans. Alright, so first we're going to start it off with some much cheaper weapons. So first we're going to start it off with the Frozen Scythe. So to a zombie, the Frozen Scythe does 29,000 damage. As you can see right here, that's 29,000 damage. Alright, so now we're going to scale it up to a Spirit Scepter. So this is about 30 million coins, down from 10 million coins, so let's see. So this does 47,000 damage, almost 48,000 damage. So as you can see, these two weapons, very common mage weapons, are pretty good in the overworld as well, and do a decent amount of damage. Now, let's take out the heroic Yeti sword. Alright, so here is the Yeti sword. And if I use the ability, as you can see, that's 333,000 damage. That is quite a bit of damage right there. So let's do some more damage tests to get more consistent damage. As you can see, that was 430,000. I don't know why it's more this time. Look at that, 450,000. I missed that. 414,000, look at that. This is pretty inconsistent, but it's doing well over 400,000 damage. Alrighty, everybody, and now the Midas staff. The mythic 100 million coin Midas staff with Smite 6, everything you want on it. And to a zombie, it does 986,000 damage. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. 986,000 damage outside of dungeons, and this is with Combat 28. I know it's really bad, but legit, Combat 28, and I'm doing 900,000 damage. That is ridiculous. Alright, so as you can see, the Midas staff is the best weapon out of this batch, but also the most expensive. The maxed out Yeti sword is about 40 million coins. Then this is about 130 million coins. So you could buy 3 of these for the price of 1 of these. So now I'm going to be comparing the 100 mil Midas staff to various other Midas staffs. What does this mean? Well, I have owned 3 Midas staffs as of now. I've owned a 23 mil Midas staff with sharpness, which was really cringe. I've owned a 31 mil Midas staff with smite and everything. And now I've owned this one, the 100 mil Midas staff, which is mythic and with smite 6. So now I'm going to be comparing the damage of a 100 mil Midas staff and a 30 mil Midas staff to show you guys if it's actually worth it to go for the 100 mil variant. So let's roll the clip. This is from my latest Mage Mistakes video, and let's see how the damage compares. So as you can see, that might have been a little disappointing. As you can see, the Midas staff does around 980,000 damage to the zombies in the graveyard. And the 30 mil Midas staff, and by the way, the 30 mil Midas staff was 50 million coins. I sold it for 50 million, and this is 130 million. As you can see, it's well over 2 times the cost. However, if you do the math right here, right, the other Midas staff, it was doing around 500,000 damage, but this one does 980,000 damage. So you have to pay well over 2 times the cost for not even 2 times the damage. As you can see, the damage is significantly less, with the Midas staff, 100 mil Midas staff, than with the 30 mil Midas staff. So, of course, it was a lot better. You know, I can do 1,000,000 damage where I was barely doing 500,000 before, but still, it is not as much of an increase as I would have liked. So if you guys are wondering and trying to get a 100 mil Midas staff, just keep in mind that compared to something like a 30 mil Midas staff, the damage is not going to be that significant, really. A non-100 mil Midas staff is still way more powerful and has way more value for money than a 100 mil Midas staff. Alright, so now I'm going to be comparing the 100 mil Midas staff and the Yeti sword against a Revenant Horror 4 and a Headless Horseman. So these are all some pretty powerful overworld mini-bosses, and let's do this. Alright guys, and here we go. Bruh, the boss cannot be in the village, are you serious? Alright. Here we go. And... sec. And as you can see, that died pretty dang fast. As you can see, it didn't take that many hits to kill it, and I was pretty consistently hitting it, so I think that was a pretty good run. As you can see, we killed it in 6 seconds, which is pretty good. Alright, so now let's do this, but with the Midas staff. Alright guys, and we're almost done spawning the Revenant Horror 4. It's gonna be the last one. Alright, and... as you can see, it died really fast. We were doing 1.3 million damage right there. Yeah. That's a lot of damage. As you can see, we killed it in 2 seconds. So if you're wondering why I can't one-tap it, it's actually because of my combat level. It's only combat 28. So most people that can one-tap it are actually combat 50, and that definitely makes sense. I was not surprised I couldn't one-tap it, because doing 1.5 million damage as a combat 28 is just ridiculous. So yeah, as you can see, the Midas staff is way better against mini-bosses than the Yeti sword. And this is not only because the Midas staff does more damage, but also it has a much more straightforward attack. While the Yeti sword has this awkward attack that needs to actually fly like this, all this long distance, the Midas staff has no such thing. However, the Yeti sword has an advantage because of its crazy large range. Look at this. It's so much superior to the Midas staff in range. The Midas staff can only go that far, while the Yeti sword could just go flying. Look at how far that's going. Look at that. So as you can see, there's pros and cons to everything. As you can see, look how far that chunk of terrain is going. Alright, so now I'm going to compare these weapons against the Headless Horseman. So the Headless Horseman is a really easy boss. It doesn't do that much damage. As you can see, if you search up Horseman, it should be a few Horseman's candles. As you can see, there's a few right here. Let's just go lowest price, and let's buy one for 300,000. So let's see how this works with the Headless Horseman. So for this, we're going to use the voodoo doll and stuff, and let's see how quickly we can kill the Headless Horseman. Alright, so starting this off, we're going to be using the Midas staff. And as you can see, that was decently fast. I was doing 1.7 million damage right there. Just an absurd amount of damage, as you can see. So now, let's spawn another one in. Alright, so this time we're going to use the Yeti sword. So as you can see with the Midas staff, it was incredibly fast. So now let's spawn it in, but with the Yeti sword. As you can see, I'm hitting it. And yeah, I was doing a ton of damage. As you can see, that was also a really, really fast boss fight. So as you can see, the Yeti sword is still really good. As you can see, you can get it to really go down wherever you want. And as you can see, it's really, really good. Alright guys, so after all these tests, as you can see, the Midas staff is a very, very good weapon, and I don't regret buying the 100 mil Midas staff. However, keep in mind that the Midas staff is not going to scale as hard as you think it is. And if you do not have 100 million coins to spend, I really recommend you get a 30 mil Midas staff. I think 30 to 20 mil is really the sweet spot for the Midas staff, where low cost and high damage really come into play. And with the Yeti sword, it has a significantly lower mana cost than the Midas staff. So if you look at how much damage it does combined, so then as you can see, this does about 450,000 damage, and two of them cost 200 mana, and one of these costs 200 mana. So if you combine the damage, they're actually about equal if you're looking at actual mana usage. So if you're looking for something that's cheap, right, this is so much cheaper than this, then I really recommend you get a Yeti sword. It's actually not that hard to use. You can use it pretty easily, and it doesn't have as much mana cost. It's actually a really good weapon. And the Midas staff, definitely worth it. I don't regret buying it at all. However, keep in mind that it's not going to scale as hard as some people portray it to be. And honestly, I'd say a 30 mil Midas staff has way more value than this 100 mil Midas staff for sure. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it. Again, thank you to everyone who donated to me on stream, and thank you to 8-Bit Villager for loaning me this Yeti sword. So this is one of my most expensive videos ever. Like, all this stuff costs, you know, around 100, like around 200 million coins. So I'd really appreciate it if you considered liking the video and subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!